feel like finding Bapu is when my heart was starting to reveal itself to me. After Bapu has been helping me, putting off layers and layers and layers of BS, ego, conditioning, blockages, a lot of illusions. Feels like when I came to Bapu almost 2 years ago, I was lost. Even though in the appearance I had the smile, the social smile that was expected of me anyway, and of everybody for social purposes, that was drowning me, and my inside was totally like dead. I can see that. And it's only upon my meeting with Bapu that I realized the depth of the sickness that I had absorbed, and that I was just letting me just collapse and just not do much and not expect much anymore, just being in a self-destructive program in general. And I feel so blessed. Being here. My whole life just changed. Like, I guess now I think I have a life, actually. I have no life. I had no life before. True life. I had a fake life. I had a fake personality. And it's still, there's a lot of work still, a lot of practice. But I'm so grateful. I could have not done this without the surgeon. Bapu is the heart surgeon, the whole being surgeon. Nobody saw what he saw and what he sees in my experience. And I think I do. It's not I think. I know that I found true heart, true love. Totally different from what I thought it was before. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. A big thing that I've learned in Bapu's presence, and thanks to the many sittings that I had the chance to be and still have with Bapu, the huge thing I would say for me definitely is my relationships in general with the other. For me, until I met Bapu, the other was always took so much importance, more than me, in a sense. I was brought up in this way to care for others, and I wouldn't say that I wasn't cared for. I think my family did what they could with their own suffering and their limitations, but I definitely didn't know what it meant to actually care or even feel my being. I felt I was taken by others. I felt others, women, men, friendships, but then definitely when it was time for me to, like I thought I had to be normal and I had to have a relationship with a guy. Until then I never thought it was, I never really wanted that. I never was attracted to that. I guess I also had this very philosophical mind, and I had at the time some music, but I was very much in my own world. But then I felt that, all around me, it looked like people had relationships. So, I had to do like everybody else. And because, so that started, and that was the start of my downfall, like for, I would say, 10 years, 15 years. And it's interestingly enough, that's when I stopped playing the piano. I just stopped. So now I know that basically I was with other, and it was easier to be with other than with myself. It was too much to face by myself, to myself. And I didn't even know where I was because I had no sense of being in that sense. I just felt everything outside, the energies, people, and, I had this social way of being. And I thought, I was supposed to do all that stuff that everybody does. So, and then, that brought a lot of insecurity that I had before even starting relationships, but it was enhanced. And interestingly enough, I tended to actually be with men that were even more insecure, were even darker than I was. So in a sense, I always had that thing of, I can help them and I can listen to them, and I always had this thing. And a huge thing for me was the companionship. I always felt that I needed to be with, have a friend. Not even, to me, it was more of that, about that, the caring for each other, a warmth maybe that I never had in my growing up. And I thought why experience things, by myself? I want to share it, I want to give, sometimes I had good experiences actually, and I wanted to share with others. I wanted to give that to others. And basically, that just didn't work out because I didn't even know who I was. So how could I help anybody? So all this was a lot of illusions and a lot of suffering. So it was my suffering plus another suffering. So it was just enhanced for both. And confusion with confusion, and pain and hurt and limitation and not knowing, being lost. And I would add to that even though I wasn't attracted to the sexual act or the sexual stuff that you're supposed to have, I understood that, the men that I met, I'm not saying every man, but they needed that, and they needed it a lot, and it looked like if you didn't do it, they would leave you because there was other women, and there's always better than you. So why would they stay with you? I mean, yeah. So basically it looked like, it would be good for a while, and then same pattern over and over again of just, that enhanced a lot of insecurity and a lot of, hate, like a lot of darkness in both. It starts with something pretty you think is beautiful, but finally now I know with, Bhapu's guidance, and I see that now, that it was pure attachment. It was attaching to somebody because of my own insecurity or darkness, or not wanting to face this. So it was easier for me in a sense, and it's comforting. It was very comforting. I was always, there's the fear of being lonely. Oh, I didn't want to be lonely. I didn't want to be by myself. I mean, that was like the end of the world. Me by myself with my mind? Like that was like being with hell. No, prefer being with, distracted by other minds and other needs, and then, I understood and understand now how selfish that was, because it wasn't the fault of anybody. I mean, I'm not saying it was the man's fault. It was also my own ignorance, because I wasn't being responsible for myself. I wasn't taking myself in charge, and I was expecting somebody else, in a sense, to do that for me. So it was just helping me not grow up. It helped me stay at the same level, baby level, not even baby, like under baby. I don't know if that exists. Like just, like vegetable, I don't know, vegetable level, even vegetable, they know how to breathe. I don't know. Anyway, I feel that, yeah, that was just a way of comforting and just staying at the same. And if one was maybe transforming or himself or me, if I was doing a bit better, I was being maybe a bit creative, that was a problem for the other, because the other didn't, there was this whole insecurity of, no, we need to stay the same, not change. So that's totally anti-life. I mean, when you understand that life is movement and transformation all the time, and you just want to stay the same and really, so just this fear of change and thinking and, believing in this illusion that, we are made to be together. I believe in soulmate like crazy. I mean, I thought, my life would be okay when I would find my soulmate. That was the deal. I didn't think anything else of my life. I thought that if I could keep a man, if he was okay with me, that meant that I was a good person. That was my barometer. That's how, yeah. So basically, the sexual act then, like they told me, yeah, you're supposed to do that stuff. So I started doing it, and it actually awakened my body and the lower parts of my body that were not like that, and it opened that up. But at the same time, I would say it closed this. So it's like I just felt that really confused and like foggy, like when we would do all that, and very animal and very, and that would go with a lot of, like alcohol and all that stuff. And that seemed to be the only way that, we would de-stress, like the stress would go. So it looked like it was a release, and it was the only way we could release. And I thought that, that meant real closeness, intimacy, that meant that they really loved me, because, or that we love each other, because that meant that, we were, that we were complete together. And that was the only way. But basically, all that stuff, I know, and I can see at the end, and it was interesting. I broke up with the last one was actually a few months before I met Bapu, just interestingly. And this person, it was at the end, I had stopped drinking and all that stuff. And he was still doing a little bit of that. And when you are growing a little bit, and for a few months I was just separating myself. Something in me was just lighter, was becoming lighter, and I was finding other things. And I found that I had my own interest. I didn't need to like everything that the person liked, do everything he wanted me to do. And finally I saw, even in the act, I remember that one time at the end where I felt I was a body. I was just meat. Like I just dissociated it. So he was under his thing and he just was doing his thing. And it was like I was being used, totally used. There was no connection. There was nothing. It was just a pleasure, a selfish pleasure for that person. And he didn't even care that, what it did to me. And, enhanced with, all those drugs and that stuff. So basically, that day I knew that didn't make any sense anymore. And I started to be disgusted to a point where, so basically, meeting with Bapu, I found out that actually it was okay for me to not desire that stuff, the physical stuff. And that actually maybe that meant that I had actually a higher purpose, and that was built in me, and that I was, I didn't need to try being what others wanted me to be for, this purpose. And so I just realized that sex isn't love. And that's huge. That's really huge. Because, basically a lot of people think that and say that, when you have a good relationship, if you don't have sex, regularly, that means that, that's saying that's going down or, it's crazy. It's crazy. And to realize that because of Bapu and because of his teachings, his words, and, just the sittings with him, and actually realizing this for myself, because it's not what he told me really, it made me go deeper into, search what really all this means. And it's true. I saw all that self, this attachment, this fear of being lonely, the self-comforting thing, that, I'm okay because he's like me or we're together, so I'm okay. This illusion that I had created myself, and that I hurt a lot of people and they hurt me. So why would we hurt each other? How can that be love? And so now I'm understanding better and better what love means. I'm practicing, and I have not found anything better than being alone. And alone in a sense of actually being and feeling my being. And when you really sit, like Bapu taught me, and chant, breathe consciously, you find this, this your own heart. I mean, I've been feeling my own heart, physical heart, inside expand. Like I can feel sometimes, it being in my whole body and radiating inside. And wow, like when people say, you just meet somebody and you have the thing in the stomach, and you're like, and yeah, I mean that it's that, but it's like expanded, and it's so much more constant and true and deep. That depth. I just felt like I'm feeling this waking up. My heart is waking up. And it's been with no relationship. It's interesting, this paradox where I thought in relationships, that was love, but my heart was being killed. I was dying. My heart was, not there. And now that I'm not in a relationship, my heart is waking up. And this heart is not for one person. And that's what is beautiful about it, is that you can, it's this love for all. It's this impersonal. It took me a while to understand that when Bapu was talking to me about detachment and compassion. I don't think at first I understood exactly what compassion meant, but now I think I'm understanding better, because I'm experiencing it for myself. In a sense, I'm not saying I'm there, I'm practicing, and I have glimpses. And this thing of when you feel the heart, and then you feel connected, like, you just feel connected. And I had a few times where, keeping this focus just in the street or in nature with my horses, where everything just, it's like, it's really connected. Like you really feel it. And that's love. I mean, it's not this limited love for one person or your family, your little thing, your little that, your small little thing, limited. It's that inside. I was outside, and now I found, and I'm finding inside. And that's so huge. It's beautiful. There's no word for it. It's light. Sometimes it's just, I mean, when you find that, there's nothing else. And there's everything else. Because by being alone, and I feel strengthening my heart by it opening up and softening, in a sense, this paradox. I feel that now soon, and I feel already, with this vibration that emanates from me, I'm already helping people. And I'm already just by being this, being the heart, then I'm already, expanding this and giving that without even being the relation. I'm giving that to all. And that's what I want to do more and more. I don't see anything else. Practice has become for me beyond everything, beyond music, beyond horses, beyond people, especially beyond. It has just become the real. I see it. I mean, the real. So, yeah. Here. Yeah, so I was talking about relationships, and I do need to say that I would have not come to this realization again without my cosmic sound shaman, my master, my Bapu. And he's my friend, he's my everything, and he's in that, on that state, on that plane of consciousness. He's on that other plane. And that plane, I have not met anybody. I have read books, but I have not had the privilege to be in that presence. And nothing of my transformation or this transformation would have been possible without me being able to be in his presence. And the thing is, this relationship that I have with Bapu is for liberation, freedom, true freedom, like really freedom. And that I had never experienced before. Because Bapu is beyond, he has come to transcend limitations, and I know that for sure because he lives it. I've been around him enough already to know that. And he plays it in sound, he talks it, he writes it, he cooks it, his food. He cooks it. And yeah, his heart, his love is in all of that. He plays the piano, guitar, any instrument, drum, and yeah, the drum. The drum, it's interesting. In my own little experience, I always felt in my own limitations that, I was always drawn to the beat, the drum, and I love dancing, and I used to really love that. But there was this limitation where, from, family stuff that prevented me from playing the drum. I needed to be in the classical field, and that was my upbringing, and that's what I was supposed to be. That was my destiny, that was my career, that's what everybody around said that I was, my gift, the gift that I had for the piano, that's what I should be doing, a solo career pianist, classical. And I had the best teachers. I had, the best teachers in Paris Conservatory from France, concertists, pianists, playing all over the world. I had the best teachers, but they never saw the more, that was good for competitions and all that stuff. But slowly I felt I was just dying, I was just disconnecting more and more from something inside. Something was wrong. And even though the piano was my best friend, because I didn't really have a social life in a sense, I had to practice piano in a very mechanical way. It was a good training, no doubt, for a good basis, but it ruined me because at one point I just broke down. I just couldn't play anymore. And it's interesting because now coming back to the drum, just a few months ago, I had started practicing with Bapu, reading, studying his books, being in true relation at last with, somebody who understood and knew knew me, and I didn't know me. Like, he knew me. He knew my soul, and I was far from that. But the more he was operating on me, my rewiring everything, I went to a music store, and I just felt that I just got a djembe, and I just got it like that. I didn't know anything about it, and a little thing, and I was just playing it, and I told Bapu I got that. And I must say that this came about after a few days before that. Bapu had said that my way of typing, I was typing for him for the degrees, and he said that my typing was like a drummer, because it's interesting but true, I just type with 3 fingers, quick but with 2 fingers, and not like a pianist, like that. And that was interesting. And I don't know, it just led up to, also I saw one day Bapu was playing on his congas. I came in here in Hartard Hall, and he was playing the congas, and then he was playing his Indian drum that I loved the sound of. I was like, this is cool. And I don't know, a few days after, I just got this little djembe, a toy, and I started, Bapu showed me a few things, and just like that, I just started being able to come into with, no mind, just the rhythms that would come with no pretension, just feeling, which is something that I was so far from. Like, I was buried under this mind, this lower mind, because Bapu operates with higher mind. And just by drumming and just doing more of that, and drumming with Bapu, meditations, I just felt like I entered a flow, like I was entering my whole body, everything was just, and then suddenly my hands were doing stuff that, wow, like I don't know, like that wasn't me. And I was just, wow, that's cool. And it was like easy. And it's just interesting. So that happened. And then I realized that Bapu, when he told me that he was first and foremost a drummer. He was a drum prodigy since a very young age. And it just came natural to him. And you can see that in his whole demeanor, the attitude, his very released body. He's always, his whole body is a drum. Like, I always feel like, the way he talks or the way he moves, it's just a rhythm. It's a constant, continual heartbeat. It's just, he's beating. He's just beating, and it's an intense beating. But it's really always there and connected. He's always connected. He's not separated. He's connected. And what I felt with, and I'm feeling more with the djembe, the drum, is, this, to me, it's not rhythms anymore, and it's the heartbeat. It's just coming back to the essential heartbeat. And, Mother Earth, ground, and boy, did I need ground, and I still do need ground, because I can get a little high, but I need to stay grounded. And because it's both. Bapu says, I don't think I'll say it in the right order, but it's tree to grass, something like that. And then you have moon to sun. There's something here. I mean, I know it's like that. And it's the mind and the heart and the mind. And that's the alignment, the integration that Bapu is helping me achieve. And basically the drum has rooted me, and I have felt since then more and more grounding and more outflow, more and more warrior, the warrior in me, that Bapu is awakening, like the warrioress. And I have that, I know I have that. And it was just put asleep, buried, that I can't, and I know I can. Now I know there's so many things that have blocks and obstructions. That's the self. But I know there's something else. There's the soul. Now I know that there's light. And I know that's also here, my higher self, my higher being. And I must go for that. And that's the only way. It's the only way that I can still, keep this alive at this stage of my practice is because of my relation to Bhapu. Because he's the only person I know, no person that I know around, that actually lives in this. So obviously, naturally, I connect with this. And the drum, in that sense, the organic beat, Bhapu has shown me, how to hear the inner sound. Not outside, again, inside. Like the inner sound, the inner light. If you really come back to inside, you hear it. And then the beat and the drums and all that stuff. I mean, he has said that he plays the wind. He plays the leaves. He plays the elements. And you can hear that in his music. And beyond that, actually. So, a huge thing that has happened is that with the piano that I was brought up with for a long time, that I broke down and stopped for a long time. After this drum, for a few months, I actually started playing again the piano. And that's been only a few months, after 10 years of nothing. And I was asked recently to play on a stage, and that had been forever. And I had no fingers. I mean, it's just, I stopped playing. I thought it was over. And that was, to me, it was a guru test. It was, are you able? Are you really ready? Are you a real warrior? Are you ready to, even though, we don't care, you have fingers, not fingers, technique, mechanics. Do you have the heart? Do you have the true heart, the sincerity? Are you a true practitioner? Are you ready to go beyond this ego, go beyond this self, and go on that stage, play whatever is going to come out, but, do that. That would be showing that I'm able to transcend this thing. And I did it. And I don't really care what it was, really. And that wasn't easy, because, coming back to classical music that, I had all those issues with. But basically now I'm finding, and Bhapu knows what he's doing. It's just crazy how he knows what he's doing. I didn't want to come back to classical music, but he's having me coming back to classical music, and I'm actually finding my heart, I understand now that the problem wasn't classical music. It was definitely something else. It was the world. It was the limitations, and it was an ignorance, a misunderstanding with, what we have around us. And a lot of judgment, a lot of competition, a lot of ego, huge ego. And I know that the ego is what prevented me to go beyond, or to even, just play true. And now I'm finding that I can actually play true and play my heart on every single note. And that's what Bhapu plays. And he's my inspiration. He's my daily protection and inspiration towards that light that I have within. And I know that I can achieve that and go beyond the classical, roots, because that's how those people express themselves. But I just know that there is something more. There is something that needs to be expressed and come out. And it's going to be slow. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to practice. And I know it's going to come out. you. Also, Bapu is helping me heal with my past and heal with my family, and that's big, because I disconnected myself totally from the small family that I have left. My mother passed away, so and I was closest to her, but she's always been with me now. She's always with me. But my sister and my dad are left, and that had been a little of a struggle, especially with my dad. And now I'm actually reconnecting, in a sense. I'm writing to him and he's writing to me. And I have realized, with the help of Bapu, that I was still holding on to a lot of pain, a lot of I thought I was done with hatred, but there was still some violence inside and some suffering, and some paranoia about it. And now I'm coming to realize that if you transcend that, in a sense, if you understand where, what's going on and the limitation of people in general, that, what people do, they do the best they can. We all do the best we can, and it's just that sometimes we need more guidance and we don't really find it. And in this sense, I'm really blessed. But without this guidance, that is really rare, people do what they can, and my dad really did what he could. And now I can understand his heart, and understand his love, and understand, even though maybe the expression of his love was selfish, his true being, he did care, and he did, and I see that. I can see that beyond the effects of his own pain on me and on other beings. So I'm actually seeing that, and I'm also letting my own love for him be okay, and that I can love him and also keep my space. And that's the most important thing that I've learned in any relation, that you can keep your space intact, because that's where you find your rest and your peace, like we all do when we go to sleep. We're by ourselves. We were born in this world by ourselves. We're gonna go away from this world by ourselves. But it doesn't prevent us from loving, and it doesn't have to be this or that. You can love freely once you find your own space. And when that's respected, that can go a long way. And I feel that, going beyond that suffering is a huge step in my life. And I feel that also coming back to the piano was very linked with, that. Definitely those blockages and those sufferings were showing up there. And by releasing all this, just not attaching to it, past is past. Just being in the moment, letting it come up, just being so empty, practicing this here now, so that you can actually let the light come in and come through, instead of holding on to specific emotions. In my case, emotions is pretty big. Go beyond that. Just look at it and find that there's beyond that. And that's where I'm going, that's where I'm gone, that's where I am, and I wouldn't have it any other way, and there's no turning back. I can't turn back. In this sense, I feel like I'm more worthy. I'm worthy now. Like, I didn't think I was worth anything at all. So, if that can help people that feel, they're not worthy at all, that you can go beyond that. You can go beyond that. You have the light in you. You need to just be empty enough to see it. And, if you're blessed in finding the right teacher, you'll see you can go ways. You have so much potential. And, never forget that. Every and each being has that. And it's just a matter of tapping into it. And I'm not letting that go. I'm not, the piano, like, now I know that I will never give him up for relationships or anything else. I'm going the highway, like, straight. I don't want to be distracted anymore. And I know that this mind, there's a lot of practice to do still, and especially the focus and attention, by, doing all sorts of things, but staying still. This focus, sharp, on point, like razor sharp, like Bhapuji. And, that's the goal. In a sense, there's no goal but to be that. And I'm not letting the sound first, the heart sound first. Here.